Go.
Right, well, I promised I'm going to try and put a new video out every week to show the background trials and tribulations of Mike Mew as I try and change the world. And some of the background deals. So at the moment, I'm in the basement of the castle. Here we are. The water outside comes to about here normally. Once it came through that window when we had a big flood. So I think there's a mark on some of the walls where the water came up to. Anyway, before we put the roof on here, and I wasn't in the country, I was doing my round the world trip at the time, me and my father were going to make some hydroelectric power, and we've placed a hydroelectric unit ready to go, but I could go into it, but it didn't work. We're at a university, we did it as a university project. Anyway, so we have here new power, and that comes in from the potential hydroelectric power station. But what we also needed was a heat dump, or a heat sink they call, somewhere to throw the excess power so you keep your power at a constant level when you're not using all the power. So we said we needed a tank to store it in. While I was away, a friend of Dad's who was a dairy farmer was throwing out his milk pasteurizer. So here you have a milk pasteurizer. I got back from my travels. It took me 5 minutes to say, Dad, that's not going to work because it's not pressurized. It's just, I got a lid that sits down on top, and Dad goes, oh, yeah, you're right. So anyway, the hydroelectric power system didn't work very well because I could go into it. And we've had this huge, great big stainless steel tank sitting in the basement ever since. No, we're going to sell the castle. Sorry.
So it's about 25 years.
25 years. 25 years it's been sitting here. Now we've got to sell the castle, so we're going to have to cut it up. Now, clearly, this is not the sort of task you're going to get someone to do for you, because the fumes from cutting up stainless steel are quite toxic. You wouldn't want to inhale them, so I have to do it myself. So it's all right. I've got a mask. I've got some good gloves. We've got a selection. There's a 4.5-inch angle grinder. Here's a 9-inch angle grinder. That is 240 volt. We've got another 9. We've got a wonderful cutter here. This is one of Tom's that's sort of a saw that goes back like that. And I've put a cap on because you don't want to get... Last time I got home, I had a mat of iron filings in my hair.
And that was because we've already started cutting it up.
Yeah, we've already started. We've cut some bits off. And so the next plan, I think, is going to be cutting off the middle bits here, turning the thing onto its back, and then slicing it up, a bit like a whale when you've got it laid out. Because it's so much easier to cut things up when you've got good access. Anyway, apart from that, it's now less than 2 weeks to my High Court appeal. Doing jobs like this is really helps to take the stress away. Takes to take my mind off it. Clearly, it's even more chaos at home than I would like it. You know, I didn't realise how the stress was going to pass on to the knock-on effects of my family, and it's just brutal. It is. You know, I can understand why people don't stick their head over the parapet. It's a tough thing to do. You must be bloody stupid to do what I've done. But so, in a way, I am bloody stupid. Anyway, here we go. I'll try and update you on what we get done, and I'm going to try and put out a video every week. Just, non-orthotropic, just a little bit of the background of me and the experience I've gone through, how hard, really, really hard life has been. You remember, I get reminded about my situation every time I go to a shop and have to pay for something. Every time a bill comes in, I'm acutely reminded the fact I'm broke. Yeah, and if I lose this court case, I'm screwed. I really am. The truth comes out, and I'll be there in the long term. In the long term, the truth will always come out. But in the short term, I'm screwed because I'm going to have to pay the costs of the General Dental Council. And that is going to be massive on top of the costs of what I've already paid. However, if I win, whoa, what's that going to do to dentistry? What's that going to do to orthodontics? Anyway, let's see. Good.